We are not representing our employers or our companies here. This presentation is strictly meant for learning purpose only. We don't hold any responsibility that same solution gonna work in your business requirements also. Amit is gonna share his wonderful experience, his real-time experience with us, but you should be better judge about each and every use case or business case that you're gonna solve in your organization. Now, last thing, this presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. We will be talking about Salesforce MuleSoft integrations only. Next slide, please. Now, I just want to thank you, Amit, for taking out time from your busy schedule. And I know you are down with the second shot of vaccination. Still, you are doing this presentation. So the whole New York City community is blessed, or we highly appreciate what you're doing. Thank you so much for doing it, Amit. Over to you.
Hey, thanks, Neeraj. So, thank you, everyone. Very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, based on your time zone. And thank you again for having me here as a speaker. And this is a little bit about me. This is how I look. And my name is Amit Singh. I'm a Salesforce MVP. I've been awarded twice. And if you compare with MuleSoft, it is a kind of MuleSoft ambassador. I have total approx 7 years of experience in technical expertise in Salesforce, and from last 2 years, I'm working in MuleSoft. I have got Salesforce certificates, including both system and application architect, and I'm also MuleSoft Developer 1 certified. I'm sort of leading my Faridabad chapter for MuleSoft along with Pankaj, and I'm also having a chapter leader here in Salesforce, which is for Kanpur City. And in my free time, I try to post some technical content related to Salesforce, MuleSoft, JavaScript, and some other technologies over my YouTube channel, SFDC Panther, as well as my blog, which is sfdcpanther.com. You can consider that's my online nickname. I'm also co-originator at Apex Hours, where we organize sessions related to Apex, Salesforce, MuleSoft, and Heroku, or some other technologies on every Saturday. If you want to connect me over professional networks, you can connect me in LinkedIn, like simply Amit. At the rate Cloudy Amit is my Twitter handle, and at the rate SFDC Panther is also my Twitter handle. So before we go ahead with the agenda, there might be a couple of questions. Are we going to record this session? So I believe the recording is on, Neeraj, and we will be sharing the recording on the same event page.
Correct. The recording is on, Amit, you're right. And we will be sharing it on the event page. Correct.
Okay, thanks, Neeraj, for confirming. So here is the agenda. We'll talk about what exactly LWC is, a very short introduction. We are not going to deep dive into this LWC because our topic is we are going to talk about MuleSoft. We are going to talk about how to use LWC with MuleSoft along with platform events as well. And there are a couple of use cases where we are also using SQL database. So we'll talk about what actually platform events are, what are the various use cases, and how these platform events are making the business easy these days. Then we'll see how to connect MuleSoft with Salesforce. I'm sure most of you already know how to do that. There are different ways to connect with Salesforce. We'll talk about a very brief for every way to connect with Salesforce. Then we talk about what is the exact live scenario which we are going to implement here, and then we'll do the implementation. Not actually the implementation, we'll walk through what the implementation I've already done as a part of demo. Then we'll talk about question and answers quiz, and at the end again we'll have some time for the networking like we did in the starting. If you have any questions in the middle of any topic, or any you have any sort of clarification that you need, please feel free to interrupt me, and don't wait for till end of the session for the question and answer round. So Lightning Web Components are we'll say that these are the newly introduced technology by Salesforce in late 2018, which is now used for developing the front end. That means whatever the user can see, that we can also develop using Lightning Web Component. Earlier we had some other technology called Aura Component, which was built on top of some other framework which is itself known as Aura. Nowadays, Salesforce is trying to basically Salesforce is trying to incorporate all web standards, W3 standards, whatever they have. So that's why they have introduced Lightning Web Component, where they can use HTML5 vanilla components. They can use ECMAScript 7 and whatever the latest version coming at. They can leverage the benefit of Shadow DOM when in terms of CSS. And the benefit of Lightning Web Components are also like, ins- even if you are using Salesforce, if you are not using Salesforce, there is some concept called Lightning Web Component open source. That means you can also develop the web applications using Lightning Web Component without using Salesforce, and you can deploy your applications to Heroku or some other cloud-based servers or some other hosting server where you want it to have. And as we discussed, Lightning Web Component is using core web component standards, which are necessary to support all the modern browser and even the browsers that are or like Safari or Edge. And we have got Google Chrome, and then we have got Mozilla Firefox. All these browser are supported by Lightning Web Components, and we can easily run Lightning Web Component in any browser. And this Lightning Web Component, after introducing Lightning Web Component, it was very easy for everyone, every professional who wanted to migrate to Salesforce. Like if you are a JavaScript or front-end developer or you are a full stack developer, you can easily make a migration to Salesforce with the help of this Lightning Web Component. So now let's talk about platform events. These are using like the industries are using very widely these days platform events, and most of the time not only to integrate different systems, like we have got Salesforce, MuleSoft, Google Cloud, Oracle, SAP, or AWS, or database. These are the different systems which we can integrate using MuleSoft, but there are also some scenarios where you can use a platform event inside your Salesforce requirement as well. So basically, platform events are used to connect your external system with Salesforce in near real time whenever you're trying to exchange the data. As an example, if you talk about Amazon order management, so whenever you are placing an order from Amazon site, whenever you place an order, you receive a message or you receive an email or your registered email ID. So if we say that Amazon has been built on top of Salesforce, how it could have implemented, it could have used different platform events. So whenever you are making an order, you are placing an order, it is behind the scene, it is firing a platform event. Then platform event is connecting to the third party system. We say that, let's say, order management system, which is kind of related to their stores, where they are trying to fulfill the orders, and from there you are receiving the order, you are receiving an email or you are receiving a message, either the order has been successfully placed, or if you have some sort of problem in your payments or any other status of your order, you are getting over your email or message. On the other hand, whenever a delivery person is going to like has delivered your order, then also you receive a message like it is saying that okay, that order has been delivered and this was the time, all those things. In that case, what happens behind the scene, if you again consider the same scenario was implemented in Salesforce, whenever delivery boy is a delivery boy is delivering the any packet to you, they are making the entry in their mobile phone. You might have noticed that they are making some sort of entry, they are taking your signatures, and then whenever they are doing all those things, behind the scene platform events are being fired, and then platform events, they are sending the updates to Salesforce saying that okay, this order has been fulfilled, this has been delivered, and then Salesforce is again firing some sort of platform event to the uh, to which say that OMS system, say that okay, this order has been delivered now, do the rest of operations that you have, like sending the emails or sending the messages. Platform events are very scalable and secure, so these are also known as the, we'll say that first class citizen for Salesforce. When we say that first class, that means they are definitely secure. If you are using REST APIs, you can use platform sealed to encrypt and decrypt your events. Even if you also wanted to have another layer of security, you can also kind of encrypt some sort using some sort of it. certificates, and then your third party system, which is your target system, can decrypt that certificate, decrypt that data with the help of that certificate. We can customize our own fields in the platform events we'll see as a part of demo. These are a part of event driven architecture. That means there should be an event in order to fire a platform, and there will be a bus, event bus, which is going to carry the data, and then there will be a event consumer. A message can stay in the event bus maximum up to 72 hours. That means if there are two systems, like let's say that we have got two system A, and then there is one system which is saying that B. If system A is sending some message to system B, and system B is unavailable for more than 72 hours, let's say that 73, then this message, whatever the message which sent by system A, is going to be lost. Then you have to keep a track of some kind of things like this has message has been successfully delivered and this message has lost, so that you can re-trigger that. And one important thing is that when you are working with platform events, you cannot retrieve those platform events using SOQL. This is the limitation. And even you cannot see any record of platform event. Although we are making a DML, we are trying to make a DML on platform event, but we cannot query those records inside our Salesforce, neither using any third-party system like REST API or anything. So as we talked about like event-driven architecture, which is also known as pub/sub architect. So here there will be one event producer and there will be multiple event consumer. So as we discussed, right, the example of our Amazon order management system. So we can say, suppose that here we have got Salesforce, which is saying that, okay, this is going to be your event producer. Then you have got a SAP where you are having some sort of pricing mechanism for the product. Then you have got some sort of database which is going to fulfill the order. Then you have some sort of AWS services, let's say that SES, which are going to send the notification to the user. So whenever an actor is basically going to our user, whenever an actor is going to place an order inside the Salesforce using their either Commerce Cloud, or they are using Salesforce digital experiences, this event producer is going to produce an event via event bus, and then after that your event consumer are going to consume that event. At a time there can be multiple event consumer who are listening to the same event. Like we have got SAP, we have got order management, we have got uh, AWS SES services. So this is just a very basic example, or we say that very basic structure of our event driven architecture. And then we have got order management. This is just again whatever we have just discussed. This is just a pictorial representation for that order management. Salesforce to application, we say that Salesforce, we can also consider this is our Amazon application. Inside the Salesforce, an actor is going to place an order from the application, and application can be any medium, like your e-commerce site, your Salesforce application which has been built on top of Salesforce application. They are producing the order. Then again event bus comes into the picture, which is going to take whatever the data you are sending, like your information that is being sent, and this information can be captured by any of the event consumer. It is your vendor application. Your vendor application can be your Amazon, it can be your any other application. And there is one like also one example that I can think of, platform event. We all are using OTT platform like Netflix, Hotstar, and then Amazon. Whenever there is any update, we usually get the notification in our mobile. That is also being done through some sort of push notifications. That is what also known as platform event in terms of Salesforce. So this is our Salesforce to application. Like if you are making an order to Salesforce, how this the data is going to flow and how the flow is going to be there. And when we talk about other way, like application to Salesforce, the example that we talked about, the delivery person is changing the status of the order. That is how it is going to be. In the previous example, we have got this product application which was actually publishing the event, and our vendor application we are consuming the event. In this example, our vendor application is actually publishing the event and our product application is consuming the event. That means this time vendor application is the publisher and our Salesforce, which is going to be act as a consumer. Like we said that, okay, this order has been completed. Now make this order completed inside Salesforce so that we can track the history of the order. We can also do the refund if there is necessary. We can also do the partial refund or partial return for that order. So this is about a very basic example of our application. And till now, do we have any questions, Neeraj? If we have, we can take those. Otherwise, we can continue.
Yeah, we have one question so far. Uh, Amit, Anish is
Okay.
asking one question. What kind of structure events have?
Yeah, I'll be showing that. No need to worry about that. I'll be
Yes.
showing basically what exactly the structure is going to be of our platform event, how we can read that in MuleSoft, and when MuleSoft is sending that platform event, how we can read that in our Salesforce. Basically, the structure is going to same. So reading mechanism is also going to be same for both the side.
Awesome.
Okay, so as we are good so far, we have got components of event-driven architecture system. So there are, like we have seen in our previous things, we have seen main three components like our consumer, our publisher, as well as event bus. But there are actually say sorry, there are actually seven key components of any event-driven architecture. The one thing is it is going to be your event. That means there is any change in state. So we say that it is saying that any change in state that is meaningful in a business process. So as we are talking about order management, so if you are changing the state of your order from one state to another state, that is going to be a meaningful for our business, like we are changing from new to in process, or we are saying that okay, it is out for courier, or it is uh, out for delivery, or it is delivered. So all these status are meaningful for us, and these are known as event. So if you are making any changes into your record, if you're talking in terms of record, if you're making any changes into a record, it is going to be considered as an event. You can also say that the DML operation, like insert, delete, update, or undelete. When we talk about, then we have got event message. This is also known as payload. This is the actual message which is going to be sent with our platform event or our change data capture or our streaming APIs. So this is the actual message that you are sending, like you are saying the notification, like you have got some exciting offers in Amazon website, or you have got Amazon Prime or other OTT platforms that you have. So what notification you see is the exactly event message. Then we have got event producer, that we have seen the publisher of the event message, for example our order placement application or our Salesforce application, which is actually producing the event. And then we have got event channel. This is the channel by which, this is the channel which is actually going to take your data. Like you have got platform event, you have got change data capture, or you have got streaming API. So this is going to be your channel which is actually uh, taking your data. And then you have got event consumer. Event consumer is a subscriber like our Salesforce or order management. And then event bus, this is going to be a bus which is going to take your data along with the event. So if even you consider this bus as a simple bus where we do travel, like there are multiple seats where you can have, what you do usually with the bus, you travel from one location to another location. That is what this event bus does. It is going to take the data from one system to another system, from one source to another source. So that is, these are all the components of our event driven management. So let's quickly see how actually we can connect with Salesforce, and then we'll talk about what our scenario is, and then we'll implement that. So to connect with what we need, I'm sure, can we have a vote here, like vote here, say everyone is aware about how to use the connectors, the basic connectors, and then how to use those connectors. Can we have that quickly over the chat? I just wanted to know if there are any newbies who are not actually aware about this Anypoint Studio.
So far, we received five yes, one no.
Okay.
So maximum yes, but one no. So let's explain it really quick, Amit.
Okay, yeah, sure. So basically, whenever we are creating any project in MuleSoft Anypoint Studio, so this is basically Anypoint Studio, which is provided by Salesforce. Sorry, provided by MuleSoft. You can download it from the Google by saying that Anypoint Studio download. But this is going to be taking some sort of high configuration for your system, like 16 GB of RAM, which they are recommending. So if you have that sort, you can download, and once you execute, you might see your package explorer kind of this is a blank. So the very first thing that we do is we create a project. We say that Mule project, and you can give it any name. Let's say that I'm saying New York Meetup. And as soon as you hit submit, it is going to create the project. Now you can see here there is one project, and this is your canvas where we are going to design our application with the help of a drag and drop. These are the Mule palette where you will see all the connectors which are available. And if you don't see any connector that is available, like suppose that we are going to work with Salesforce, so what you can do is you can just quickly search for Salesforce. And if you are trying to suppose that you are trying to make any specific operation like query, so what you can do is you can just scroll down until you find your operation and just drag and drop into the canvas. So as soon as you will drag and drop into the canvas, you will see here it has got some sort of properties that we need to provide. Like this is the display name. Suppose that you wanted to query accounts, and it is going to be inside of array, so you say that query inside I'll say that these are the square brackets, and where you say that okay, then it is saying the connector configuration. Okay, this is very important for us because Salesforce, to make any connection with Salesforce, what usually we do is we need to have some sort of um, like the Salesforce always requires some authentication to authenticate. They say that until unless you say that you are an authentic person, I cannot let you inside the system. Even when you try to log into Salesforce, you have a login screen. So that sort of things is here. You say connector configuration, and you can click on this plus icon, you see. And when you see here, you get connection. You can provide the name, whatever name you wanted to have. Then you can see here there is a connection which says that okay, basic authentication. We have got OAuth 2.0. Then we have got OAuth JWT, username and password. We have got SAML. So whatever based on your business needs, you need to choose a appropriate authentication model over here. For example, you wanted to have a most secure authentication, then you will go either auth JWT or auth SAML. In both the cases, you will be needing some sort of certificates for decoding and encoding the response. Or if you wanted to use some sort of user intervention where you wanted to say, okay, now you wanted to tell the user, okay, this is the login screen, go ahead and provide your authentication, and then we'll get the data from you. You can use OAuth 2.0. And basic authentication and OAuth username password, in both the cases you need to provide username and password. So if you are sure that the target system like MuleSoft, wherever you are using, is most trusted person, you are okay to share your password, you can just go ahead and use basic authentication. So we can use basic authentication. Here we need to provide username and we need to provide password, and in some cases we need to provide security token as well. And then authorization URL is going to be changed based on what sort of Salesforce environment you are using. If you are using a free Salesforce environment or you are using a production environment, that authentication URL, authorization URL is going to be same, whichever is showing here in the form of grade. You don't need to put anything. If you are using a sandbox, then in this URL you have to put manually. So what you will say is you will say https://test.salesforce.com, and then we have got services, and whatever like complete URL is, you can have kind of things, and you say that okay, you've got soap, and then you've got API, or then at the end it is going to be your version, either it is 51 or it is going to be sort of we say that 51, the latest version is basically 52, so you can have that 52 over here. These are the basic things that are required. So I have actually I don't know the username and password, so I'll just show you over here in my existing application where I have prepared all these. So you can see here, this is my username, this is my password. I can click on show password to see my password and make sure if that is correct or not. Then I have got security token. This is optional. This is required when you have most of the cases it is required. Like I have made this optional for me as a part of demo, but the recommended way by Salesforce is always use a security token so that you cannot log in outside of the login IP ranges. I'm sure most of you are working in such companies where you cannot log in a system outside of the company IP addresses. Like these days, it is okay because it's a pandemic and everyone is working from home. But most of the cases, you won't be logging the system outside of the company IP. That is why, to prevent all these kind of unauthorized access, Salesforce is basically saying, okay, go ahead and sort of add that security token so that you don't get any error when your system is running from an IP which is not authorized by your company. So and this was about like how you connect and what are the basic authentication mechanism in Salesforce and when to use all those. So any questions so far that we are getting?
I think we had one.
Okay.
So
So
uh, I think we had one. I need to find it. So Medha was asking some question. I'm not able to find it. So yes.
okay, okay,
Ashley is asking one question. How do the token whitelist, blacklist IPs?
okay. So in Salesforce, let me quickly show you over here. So if I go to my Salesforce org, in Salesforce there are two places where you can whitelist and blacklist. But main place is a Salesforce profile label. So whenever you create a user in Salesforce, every user has its own profile. So if I go to my user, say that this is my user, and go to the settings, and under the settings there is something called advanced user detail. And if I go here, this is my profile, right? So if I go to the system administrator, under that system administrator there is something called login IP ranges. For now, what I have given is I have given the universal IP range. So no matter I'm anywhere in the world, if I have a internet connection, I can log into this account because this is my universal, and every IP address will come between these two subnet masks. But what usually happen is we don't add these IP address because this is opening all IP ranges. We just go ahead and add those IP address over here. Suppose that I wanted to whitelist my IP, which is saying that my IP address. I go there and I search for whatever my IP is, and then so this is checking for my version 4. We usually add version 4. I can just go ahead, copy this, and then I can add these my IPs. So I can add these. So if I add this IP, I will be only able to log in with this IP address. Any IP address which is not coming between these subnet masks, I'll not be able to log in. I'll say, okay, there is some error. Please contact your system admin. So if you wanted to know what all IPs has been whitelisted, you can go to this like for a particular user profile, you can find IP ranges and you can just see what all IP has been whitelisted, and all other IPs which are not here are blacklisted and they will not be able to log in. So if there is nothing here, they can log in. Then there are some sort of other ways to verify. So there is something called network access. So if you have used Salesforce, you might have received some sort of verification code over your email or phone saying that verify that this is who you are and you are claiming to be. Okay, so sometimes you log in and you get a verification code, and when you provide the verification code, then only you can log into system. In order to prevent that verification code, you can add your IP to here into the network access. So if I add my IP, whatever this IP is, so whenever I try to log in with this IP, I will never get a verification code. But as soon as I will try to log in after this IP, I will get a verification code. But again, the IP which is added at a profile level is going to override these settings. So if I have added universal IP at my profile level, there is no need to add any network IP. I can log in anywhere in the world without. asking a verification code. So I hope this is clear.
Thanks for that, Amit. We have two more questions. Sumedha is asking, is component configuration similar to one that in Mule 3?
Actually, Sumedha, I have no idea about because I haven't worked with Mule 3.
Sorry for that, Sumedha. Victor is asking one question. Where can we get the URL authentication version?
Okay, so to basically get the authentication version, you have basically one easy way if you wanted to. You can just go to the workbench, okay, so that workbench Salesforce, and you search for this workbench.developerforce.com. So you can see here API version is 51, the latest one is 52. So now if you are trying to log into production or you are trying to log into sandbox, you can choose, and you can choose latest version and try to log in here. If you are able to log in using that latest version, that means this is the latest version which you can use. Otherwise you can select which is just the previous version. But what I recommend is what I always use, whatever the MuleSoft connector is saying, just use that, because the reason is sometimes MuleSoft connector is only compatible till the API version they are showing. So suppose that they were saying showing us 51.0, so there might be a possibility. I haven't tried with 52.0, but there is a possibility like Salesforce doesn't support 52.0, because every API changes, there are some structure changes on Salesforce side. So whatever MuleSoft suggests, I'll also suggest go with that, and that is going to be that will definitely work for you. If not, then you can definitely use whatever the latest version which is shown here in the workbench. So it will always be showing all the API version. You can see from API number 8 it is having 50.2, which is latest version, and 52.0 has been basically rolled out to all the environments, so you will be able to log in. Sometimes what happens, Salesforce releases the new API, so that say that after 1 month or after 1.5 month, there will be a new API version. You will see 53.0, but you will not be neither logging into sandbox or into production, because that is still in release version where the people like us, like MVPs or some other people, are doing the testing. So once the version is rolled out, you can use that. So this is the best place to look into your version. And if you don't want to see, or like say that okay it is 52, you can just say login with Salesforce. And it is, if you are already logging into Salesforce, sometimes it login automatically log into your Salesforce. You can go to utilities, REST Explorer, and you will see your version over here as well. So that is how actually you can see all these things like your version. So was that clear?
Victor said, thanks for that, Amit. Sumedha is asking another question. Using authentication JWT security token created internally for that user, does it have any validity or expiration?
It completely depends on the certificate that you are using on MuleSoft site. Suppose that your certificate is basically going to expire in 1 year. Validity of that token is going to be 1 year. The reason, because every time your MuleSoft application is running, it is going to regenerate the token. So basically they are not going to reuse that token. Every time that token is going to regenerate it using that certificate. So if the certificate is only valid for 1 day, you can say the token validity is for 1 day, because after that it is going to throw the error and you will not be able to get the new token. And there is one setting in your Salesforce environment that doesn't apply in case of JWT. As I said, it generates a new token every time, but that does apply for other OAuth 2.0. So like OAuth 2.0, we have seen one, that is session settings. So if you go to the session settings, and you can see here session timeout. So this is the timeout value that you have, which is saying that 2 hours. So this is basically going to represent your access token validity. And there is one more setting which you kind of going to get under app manager. Basically, when you use OAuth 2.0, there is a connected application that you do create. So under the connected application, there is also one thing, one setting that you can define the access token validity there as well, but that only applies in case of auth 2.0. That doesn't apply with JWT. So is that clear?
That, Amit.
Okay, yeah. Any other questions that we have?
No, Amit, we are good to go.
Okay, so now let's talk about the scenario which we are going to implement together here. Suppose that you're working as an integration developer for a company called AWT Computing, and they are kind of a dealer of heavy vehicles parts, and their sales representatives needs a functionality to check if the customer is eligible for a discount or not. So currently what we do usually, sometimes I have also done in my life, is I used to call the sales representatives and ask for the discount coupon, if they can give me this discount coupon for a particular product or not. So what is happening currently in this scenario is their sales representatives are checking for the discount based on a excel sheet that they have. So what they do is they pull a report and then they try to find out if the customer is eligible for the discount or not, based on the customer number as well as the country code that they are associated with or they are living in. So by doing this, as this is a human intervention, there are some error prone. Basically, there are some errors. Sometimes sales representatives find that customer is not eligible for discount. Sometimes they find that okay, customer is eligible for discount and this is the discount. And sometimes what happens, they find the customer is eligible for discount but they see the different numbers, because that is a report which is in the excel sheet. And we are all are humans, and we get into the different rows to see what amount is. And because of that, there are some sort of loss that AWT computing is facing. So to do this, what you have to do is basically you have to develop some sort of scenario, some sort of uh, kind of a UI where their sales rep provide the customer unique number, their country they are associated with, and then they are going to go to the some sort of system where they have got discounting system. Say that in our case that is SQL database. They are going to check against that customer, and if that customer is present, they will say okay, this is the discount. If not, they are going to show okay, you are not eligible for the discount this time. So this is basically a flow that we have got here. So we say that we have got a Salesforce, we have got MuleSoft, we have got SQL database. This is a flow that we are going to develop to help our sales rep. So sales rep is working over here. They are some sort of putting all the details on a screen inside the Salesforce, which is input screen. Then this is going to send a data with the help of our platform event. So it is going to fire a platform event. Then MuleSoft is going to process that data. Then it is going to make a call to the SQL database. SQL database going to find that particular customer over here. If that customer is finded to the SQL server, then it is going to again return to MuleSoft, and then MuleSoft is going to process that data. They are going to prepare again a platform event, which is going to be published, and then our input, our LWC component is going to listen that event, and they are going to actually show either a success or a error response. When it is success, then it is a discount. When it is an error, there is no discount. So these two inputs, whatever we have got, these are going to be our LWC component, basically the same LWC component which is going to work. Then MuleSoft, the project that we have seen, we are going to see. And then we have got SQL database. So this is just a scenario overview that we have seen as a pictorial format. And here are like scenario was your architect team have came up with a solution where what you need to have is you need to use some platform event, and then those platform event one platform event is going to be published by Salesforce, listening by MuleSoft, processing the data, and then again publishing another platform event which is going to be consumed by Salesforce LWC component. So there are two event. One is one is discount details, and there is one is pricing event, which we are going to do, and we'll see what all those events have. And then we have got lightning web component for a user interface that we have already seen, where sales rep can enter the customer details and then they can see the discount details. So before we go ahead into the Salesforce side, let's quickly have a look into our what we have got is our database. So I have set up the database for this. I created a customer pricing, what we say it is schema, and then I've got a discount button, a discount field. So I have got few entries like 10 entries. You can see here we've got some sort of information. I just put some random characters over here, and you see this is the customer unique number basically. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we are good, Amit.
Okay. So, and these are the discounts that we have. Okay. So if I enter any of these details on the Salesforce LWC component, I will see the details of the discount. If I enter any other details, I'll see that is $0. Like for demo purpose, it is by defaulted to the $0. So now let's quickly have a look into the platform event inside our Salesforce org. So to create a platform event, what we do is we quickly search for Salesforce. We search for platform event. We'll get under integrations. We'll go to the platform event. I've already got one is discount event, one is pricing event. So if you want to create, you can just click on new platform event. You can say, I'll say New York meetup. I can say plural label is this object name. I'm going to remove this hyphen. So here you say event type, it is going to be high volume by default. And then we have got publisher behavior. It is saying that publish immediately or publish after commit. So these two behavior we consider based on our business use case. Sometimes like this use case, what we say, it is going to be published immediately. The reason is that we don't want to make any DML in the system. We just want to fire the event. We wanted to process through the API that we will develop using MuleSoft and then get the result. In some cases we have got publish after commit. So what happens is, suppose that you have an account record, you're trying to create an account record in the system, and once the account record is fully created, then only you want to publish that platform event. Otherwise you don't want to publish that. So if there is any error, you don't want to publish that platform event. That is why it said that publish after commit. So you will definitely, like, whenever you are having the scenario in your mind, you're going to revise that scenario, and you will see, you will immediately find either it is going to be published immediately or publish after comment. Or you can also discuss with your architect or any other one in your team which behavior you are going to use. You can save it. And as a part of introduction of our platform event, we have also discussed like these are customizable. That means we can create our own attributes. So to create the attributes, we have got custom fields and relationships. We can create the attributes over here. For example, I wanted to create an attribute called customer number, some unique number. I can just go ahead and select a text number because it can be a numeric or alphanumeric. I can say it can be up to 100 character long, and just go ahead and save it. So this is like just a example how you create. For example, we already have here discount event where we say that, okay, what is the discount and what is the message. So this event, this discount event is going to be published by our MuleSoft after checking if the customer is there in the database or not. And then we have got one which is saying that pricing event, which takes customer ID and customer location, which is going to be published by our Salesforce LWC component after taking the input from the sales rep, the customer number and location. Once like these are the creation, or we say that how we develop the platform event inside Salesforce. And there was a question in the starting, what is the structure of event? So this is going to be the structure of our event. Yeah, let me quickly zoom it. So you see here, it is always going to be this way for every platform event. This is going to be your structure. You will see data. This is going to be the top node under the JSON object. You will see schema. This is some random number you will see, and then payload. This is going to have the complete data that you are sending either from Salesforce or from MuleSoft. And created date is going to be your date when the platform event has been created. So you can see here created by ID. This is the discount, and this is the message that I'm sending from MuleSoft. And this is the ID of a user who has created that platform event. Then in the event, we say that this is a replay ID. This is also very key thing. We say that very important when we are talking about platform event. This replay ID can have different values. Like it can have -1, it can have 1, or it can have any other number. So if I say -1, it is going to produce all the events, which even if we have lost the events in previous 72 hours. Suppose that our system, our MuleSoft was out for 48 hours, and there were 10 events. There were 10 events which were published by Salesforce. So if we specify replay ID -1, so what will happen is once our MuleSoft application will come online, all those 10 application is going to be sent to MuleSoft, because replay ID is set to -1. And if we say that replay ID is set to 10, so what will happen is all the platform event whose replay ID is greater than 10, those events will only be sent to MuleSoft, and all the events whose replay ID is less than 10 or 10, it will not be sent to MuleSoft. So again, this is very key thing while working with platform event. Unfortunately, MuleSoft is not supporting so for this replay ID. Hopefully to get those into the coming releases so that we can specify this replay ID in our MuleSoft application as well. And then we will see the channel, the actual platform event which is being triggered from either MuleSoft or our Salesforce application. So this is basically going to be the structure of our platform event. And now let's quickly talk about what we have as a part of LWC. This is just a very basic, we can say an HTML component where I have got two input. One is for customer ID. You can see customer identification. There is another which is say that country code. Then there is a button which is just having say that check discount availability and calling some sort of JavaScript functions. There is one more division which is just displaying whatever the message we are getting from MuleSoft. Either the user is available for discount or not. When we talk about our JavaScript functions, then we have a function which is saying that handle check discount. What it does is it is going to validate if the user has provided the input for both the inputs or not. If user has provided, it is going to call a method of an apples class which is discount component controller, and then this class is doing nothing. It is just publishing the platform event which is continuously listening by our MuleSoft. And this component also does another thing, is it is also subscribing an event. So if we show here, whenever a component is like whenever we load a page, HTML page, the component is added into the DOM, then at that time we are calling our method called handle subscribe. And this handle subscribe is what it is doing is it is subscribing to the event. So this is the channel name. We'll see what channel name is. Then you can see here replay ID is -1, and this is the method which is going to be executed whenever MuleSoft is sending any platform event. So the channel name we have defined on the top over here, which is saying that this is going to be event and discount event. So for any platform event or change data capture, it is going to be event like /event and the name of your event. From where you will get to get this, you need to go to Salesforce, and this is the name of your event which you will be putting over there after that. So and then here under the handle response, this is basically the response that we are getting. So as we have seen, we have got data and then we have got payload into our JSON structure. That is why we say that whatever the response we are getting from MuleSoft, we are going to traverse to the data, and under data we've got payload. So that is what here we get response data, and then we are just I'm sort of making it into the currency format and displaying into the page. So how the page looks like is, this is how our page looks like, where we provide the customer identifier, we provide the country code, we click on discount availability, and then we see if it is eligible for discount and whatever the discount it is. Currently it's not working. I will run the application, then it will start working. So this is our, like, the setup on our UI side. Then we have to do the setup on the MuleSoft side. So to do that, the very first thing what we need to do is we need to listen that platform event into MuleSoft side. So how we will listen that? To listen this, what you need to do is just search for subscribe channel listener. So you'll say subscribe channel listener, subscribe topic listener. You will see two different things. So if you wanted to listen a change data capture, which is a different concept, or a platform event, you need to use a subscribe channel listener. If you are listening a post topic, which is also known as streaming API, then you need to use subscribe topic listener. So once you will be subscribing this, if you click here on the under the properties, you can see there is something called streaming channel. So you can type over here, like you say that, okay, I wanted to subscribe to something called event forward slash, or what you can do is you can just click on this drop down and you will see all the platform events which are created under this particular connector configuration. So for change data capture, it is data. For platform event, it is event. So in earlier statements, I said that for change data capture, it is also event. So that is not the case. For change data capture, it is data. So if you wanted to subscribe pricing event, you can select that, and that's okay for you. You won't get any error. That is what we did over here. So if you see here, we have got subscribe channel listener, and I have selected pricing event. And then I have got a logger over here. Under the logger, I'm just logging a complete payload, whatever I'm getting from MuleSoft, sorry, from Salesforce. We can also see that. And then I'm calling a flow reference, basically a sub flow that we have got, which is publish subscribe flow, and passing and storing that value into the variable called payload. If we go here, this is our another flow which I have developed as a part of demo. So if you see here, we have got sorry, okay, so this is our publish subscribe flow. Again, it has a logger for the payload. Then we have a transform message. What here we are doing is we are just traversing to the data which we need. So this payload is the payload which our MuleSoft gives us. Then this is the data which we are getting from our MuleSoft structure, and this is the payload that we are getting from our MuleSoft. Sorry, from our platform event. So there are two payloads, so you don't need to confuse between two. The first one is from the MuleSoft that we get. The second one is from the platform event that we get. And then I have got a variable. In that variable, what I said is the customer ID. So inside payload, not payload, because this transform message, what it does, it against storing the value inside a payload. Okay, so that is what I said. Go to payload and then again go to the payload, find customer ID, so that we can get what exactly customer we need to refer. And then we are again calling a flow which is going to call our database. So this is the flow. It is making a SOQL query to the customer database, the actually our customer pricing database, where it is saying that customer, wherever the customer is into that variable, and having a limit of 1. Then I have got a transform message. I'm just getting the 0th row because there will be only one customer with that unique identifier. Find the 0 from the array index because that is going to return the array of objects, as you can see over here. Then we have got a choice router. We say that, okay, if that payload.customer, that means the customer we are getting from the database, is not equal to null, then send this information. Say that, okay, message is eligible for discount. Discount is whatever the discount we get from our database. Otherwise, in the default, say not eligible for discount, and discount is 0.00. And then just have that exact value into the payload. And once this is processed, we are publishing. This time, again, we are using, this time what we need to do is you need to use publish platform event message. You don't need to publish post topic or a streaming channel. So you need to publish platform event message, and then you need to say whatever the payload you've gone from the previous node, just use that payload, and then have the transform message to see whatever it is, either a success or an error. So this is just a like flow that we have. And before, like in the meantime, I'll just run it. Anyone have any questions or any other questions that we have got into uh, the chat window, Neeraj? We can take it because this is now the demo time and we can just see the demo. And then after, definitely we are going to take question and answers.
One question from Victor Amit.
Okay.
Can you explain me how to use redelivery policy and set up in the replay channel activity?
Yeah. So as I said, right, redelivery policy is not supported so far in MuleSoft. So that is what I said. The replay ID we cannot set up here in MuleSoft so far, but we can expect in the coming release. But that's not the statement which I'm making. Please don't consider that as a legitimate statement. It just we are expecting. We might get into the future release, we might not get. But so far to have that redelivery policy, what we can do is current in our scenario, what actually we are doing is we are okay. We need to remove this failed. Yeah. Just a second, I'll just give you answer. That error is
No worries, Amit.
okay. That's okay. So basically, what exactly we are doing here in our current scenario is we are receiving that event right here in our flow, which is saying that platform event test. We are receiving. If we are able to successfully receive that event, we are also basically sending. We are publishing another event to tell the Salesforce that we have received the event. In order to implement the redelivery policy, we can consider same kind of things. We say that okay, whenever we receive that event in MuleSoft, we can either update some sort of table in Salesforce, say that okay, I have received this event. And if Salesforce is not updating some sort of particular event, they are not able to see that particular event in the table which they are trying to say, okay, this is the table where we are storing if the event has been processed or not. They can re-trigger that event. That is what like I have done for one of my project where I had to process all these along with MuleSoft. And unfortunately, that is not supported for now in MuleSoft, but in Salesforce it is. In Salesforce, I can show you here that what I showed here in the event. You say here, this is basically, this is a library which is provided by Salesforce, the inbuilt library. And if you want to learn more about it, it is Comet D library. This is the second parameter. Basically, it takes three parameters. The first one is a channel name. Second one is a replay ID, which is basically going to be your redelivery ID. And third one is a message, which is going to be a callback message, basically your JavaScript function. So here by default, we usually put a -1. That's why I said a -1. So as we discussed, if my target system, which is listening that event, is down for less than of 72 hours and then it is coming up, we will be able to get all the events. Those will be re-triggered to the Salesforce immediately. So that is what this redelivery policy does for Salesforce. And for MuleSoft, it's not doing that. I hope that is clear.
Yeah, Victor is good. Thanks for that, Amit. So Mehul
Okay.
is asking, is there any maximum count on events that can be retrieved by setting replay ID equal to -1?
I haven't seen that there is some limit on 24 hours. Like you can fire an event. I completely forget that count, but if you hit that limit, that if you say limit, that can be the maximum limit because I haven't seen any limit so far for this replay ID.
Yeah, Amit, no worries. Yeah, no more questions.
Okay, yeah. So if you can see here, our application has been deployed and it is success. So we can just go ahead into our Salesforce and we can try to test it. So this is our Salesforce environment. I'm again going to refresh this once. So what we'll do is we'll test two scenarios, one a success and one of we'll say what it is. Okay, let's say that it is a success scenario where I say that I'm not using this country code in my MuleSoft studio, so I can provide anything for now. And as soon as I click on check discount availability, if everything goes okay, I'll see a success message. I will say eligible for discount, and this is $76. We can verify with this with our database. You can see Amit handed it is $76. We can say 23 HJ. We can go to the Salesforce, and this time we can say that okay 23 HJ and hit enter. Sorry, select that. We say $234. That means this is working as expected, and there is no hard code things. Now, if you wanted to have something sort of some random numbers, I say, okay, check for discount availability. You say that not eligible for discount, and it's saying that zero. So basically, this is just a very basic example that I have shown in a real time. Actually, this kind of things we have implemented in one of our projects. Not the This is not the complete thing we have implemented, but some we say that 10% of that implementation I have just showed you over here. And with that, we have already seen the demo. These are the references. You will see a GitHub repo. I think this representation will be shared with you. So this GitHub repo contains everything, the class, the PPT, the platform events, objects, every single thing that you need that I have used. These are some sort of references that I have personally referred in order to learn about platform events. If you want, you can also refer these resources. And with that Q&A section, I think I can take it, and then we can go for the quiz time.
This is great demo. This was a great demonstration, Amit. We have one question from Murli. Does Salesforce Composer suffice this requirement?
Salesforce Composer, actually that is not a product which I am not sure if that has come officially as of now. And to be honest, I haven't tried this. I made a request to Salesforce to get an access for that, but I actually didn't get that access to Salesforce. And MuleSoft Composer, what a demo sort of things I have seen is that is basically to connect with the different environments. There are some sort of event things, but I'm not sure if that is supported with platform event or not. I can't say that that is supported or not. I'm sorry for that.
No, no worries about that, Amit. And Murli, we can talk offline about that. No worries. Victor is saying, how about the event performance?
Event performance is kind of like when we talk about in terms of enterprise level project, then like when we this event like platform events are very lightweight. You can like consider that these are giving us the good performance. Like if I have tested it for approx 12,000 records, it was within a second, which worked for me. So I can say that the performance was very good. But sometimes when we are working in a very large enterprise project, we sort of consider Heroku having there, so that we can also kind of get rid of the limits that Salesforce is having for accessing the APIs and sort of things. And Heroku is also some sort of platform which gives us the ability to make the performance better. But yeah, like for testing approx 12,000 records was okay for me, and the performance was good for me. So I can say the performance is good. We say that for medium clients, that's good.
Thanks for that, Amit. Victor is asking another question. Is it single threaded or
I'm
no?
not quite sure about. I'm not quite sure about that.
No worries. Uh, keep Dhananjay is asking, keeping the assumption that at a time only one event is processed, how would correlation happen between events sent to pricing and the same event received through discount? Is there a way? These are two separate events, right?
Yeah, then we are using two separate event here for our demo, but in your case, right? If you are using the same event, then it is going to be in a deadlock because you are firing an event from Salesforce, then MuleSoft is firing the same event from Salesforce, then MuleSoft is listening, then Salesforce is listening. That is going to be in a deadlock, and that will never going to work for you. So it's always better to use different events, or you can have some sort of we say that identifier or some sort of we say that checkboxes where say okay, you say you have got two checkboxes, say that from MuleSoft, from Salesforce, check the checkbox when sending from Salesforce, and check the checkbox from sending from MuleSoft, so that you can have the check in your code, and then based on that you can trigger that. But that's not a recommended way.
Thanks for that.
So there is Dhananjay is also saying that mainly related to scenario where multiple users are using. Yeah, that is going to work because what happens is whenever whenever we are loading this this screen, right? This particular screen is going to create its own instance for each user. So every particular component is going to work differently. There are some, definitely there are some sort of modification needed over here in order to make them work separately for different users, because at a time if I open the same screen at two places, the same event is going to work at both the places. But this as we say that this instance is going to create for every different user. There is a identifier that we say created by id, right? This is the one that we get. Based on this identifier we can exclude or we can find which particular user we need to show the event. So there are different ways, but yeah, you are right here. Like in current setup it is definitely going to kind of have a mess where all the users are going to see the examples from all the different users. It is possible to use platform events from one SF cloud to others, like from one SF Salesforce cloud to other Salesforce marketing cloud. That is marketing cloud. I haven't idea about that because I haven't worked. But if you are using from one Salesforce org to another Salesforce org, yes, definitely you can use that. So Ashley is asking if the Mule application crashes and fail to send back the event back to Salesforce. The Mule pays, Salesforce pays awaits forever. In this case, yes, like in current setup, but
But
there
okay,
is there are like as we say, right, this is a considerations that you and your architect will be having while you are designing the system. There are a ways, like say that you, as you said, this is the right question that you have asked, is if crashes in between and Salesforce is going to stuck forever. No, that's not going to be the case. There will be some we'll say there will be some sort of mechanism. Suppose that your MuleSoft is crashing, like crashing MuleSoft is going to be happen once a while, but that scenario can be considered. But there is something called error handling, right? If there is some error, you can also throw the error, or you can publish the platform even from the error handling. And if your MuleSoft is going to crash, then definitely you can either have some sort of uh, time boundation in your component to say if that time boundation exceeds, like say that 1 minute, then you can just go ahead and say that okay, your representatives are going to refresh the page, and then you can ask your Mule developers or your Mule architect to look into this if the application is working fine. That kind of workaround we can use. But yeah, there might be a different and better workaround that different people can come up with.
thanks for that, Amit. And Ashley, in terms of MuleSoft language, you can have maximum reattempts or retries, or you can have a timeout settings. Like say, for example, just timeout after 10 seconds if it does not come back. Something like that also you can set up.
Yeah,
Any other questions that we have? I think it's a good interactive session. What do you say, Amit?
yeah, I think it was quite good. I don't see any other questions, so we
It's
have
been
got three questions, very easy, all from the slides. And what we need to do is like I'll show you the question on the screen. You just